This is the Lean Builders Hoots on the Ground podcast with absolutely, positively no bullshido. Join us as we dig into exactly what lean construction is and how we can use these concepts and strategies in the field. This podcast will be different as we journey to job sites and mine the minds of lean builders, all in effort to pass forward building knowledge from those who have put their time in to learn a better way. Because that's just what lean builders do. What's up, y'all? Adam Hoots here at the Lean Builder Hoots on the Ground podcast, coming to you with no bullshido. And we've got a couple of all-stars on the mic here. I want to give them a second to introduce themselves to the Lean Builder Nation. We've got Armando Tunales and Miss Sarah Gomez with Holt Construction. Is that right, y'all?
That is correct.
Why don't we do ladies first? Miss Sarah, if you want to take the mic and tell us a little bit about who Miss Sarah Gomez is and what got you to where you are now.
Sure. Sarah Gomez, Senior Project Manager for Holt Construction. Thanks to Armando and my buddy Chris McBride, I got started in the construction business via my grandfather, who was a general contractor in Shreveport, Louisiana, Summerall Construction, and he was my inspiration, my mentor, my angel, everything, who handed me my behind daily, and that taught me and raised me up in the industry and gave me my background, and here I am.
It's amazing how those who mold us the most really give us our behind, as you say.
Yeah. I didn't want you to bleep me.
I would never do that. Maybe Armando, but not. Do you want to give us a quick introduction to Armando and then let maybe him take it from there?
Yeah, my name is Armando Tunales. I'm a General Superintendent with Holt Construction, and I'm with Holt thanks to Sarah. Maybe we can get into a little bit of that, but I do believe in divine intervention, and Sarah has been used to help me on my career path, and really excited about being here on Hoots on the Ground. The Lean Builder podcast is just awesome. What an awesome opportunity. So just appreciate the time. I am no one of consequence, but I do believe that no one is just in anything. I used to be a laborer, but I was never just a laborer. And I don't think anybody is just in anything. And the sooner that we just have respect for people across the board, the better off we're all going to be. And I believe in that utopian future. So that's me in a nutshell.
I love it. I love how you hopped right in because that question was actually for Sarah. I was going to see how she introduced you, but you did it. What do you think? Did he do a fine job there?
Sure. Yeah, he did a great job.
Did he leave anything out? Because I know how humble he is.
It's his favorite topic.
Yeah, that's why I sent you that Terrell Owens picture. He loves me some me.
That's right. We talked a little bit about Snoop Dogg thanking me.
Yeah. He had some good points there. Hard work, never giving up on himself. That's those are big.
Absolutely
True.
I love the fact that, and I want to know more. You say, Sarah, you're with Holt because of Armando. Armando gives credit to you. I'm super confused as a listener. How does this work? What is this circle all about?
You want me to tell it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, cool. So I worked with Armando when he worked for another contractor. I was with another contractor. A friend of mine went over to Holt and he called me one day and was like, hey, I need this all-star superintendent. Who you got? I just need someone. He was looking for a referral bonus and he got one because I sent him Armando. I was like, call this guy. He's awesome. He's going to be able to run this job for you. And so there's Armando. Now you tell him.
So Holt had been after Sarah for a couple of years, actually. Yeah. And Sarah was playing hard to get, which I get it. But at the same time, again, I'll bring it back to I believe in fate. I believe everything happens for a reason. Everybody says that. Obviously, that happens. There's cause and effect. But I also believe in divine intervention. And we really needed Sarah. I knew that's who we needed as a team. And yeah, we were able to reach out to her. And after she initially was intending to be with Holt, but through circumstances and loyalty.
2 years later.
Yeah, 2 years later, we were able to have a lunch and it went from there. And now, as I call her, she's the best project manager I've ever worked with. And I've worked with quite a few of them over the 20 plus years I've been in construction. And I'm not trying to flatter her. It's just the truth. She is the best.
I hope Eric Willis doesn't watch this.
I hope he does.
I think that's pretty awesome. In fact, when I asked Armando to come on the show, because we typically highlight builders, which usually comes from a superintendent perspective, the first thing he said was, I've got to bring Sarah on here with me. And so y'all help me understand this current relationship. Y'all are on a project together, or Armando visits occasionally. What does the current situation look like, Sarah?
We're on a project together, a large project at DFW Airport, and he's the general superintendent and I'm the senior PM.
Gotcha. So tag team partners in crime, I think is what some folks say.
Tag
Tag
team and we
team,
share a
back
brain.
again.
Check it, direct it. Let's begin. Where is this going to go? Oh my goodness. So one of the things that I think draws me to you two specifically is I follow you on LinkedIn and I see you out there celebrating a lot of the teams, and not just the team in its entirety, but also specific members of the team. And so I wanted to just hit that out there. What is the team culture like? You guys both know that's one of my favorite words out there, right? Culture. What?
So can I ask you a question before you ask the
Wait a
question?
minute. I'm supposed to be asking the question. Yeah,
what,
of
what
course.
is it with you and culture? Do you not like it? What's the Bullshido there? And fair, just I'm all Bullshido, so you can edit that out. But
So I tell people I'm going to edit things, but I never really edit it.
you never
Just
do.
know that. So for me, the Bullshido side of culture is that everybody has their own explanation for what exactly it means. I think a lot of times there's certain companies out there that will celebrate, okay, we've got a great culture because we've got snacks in the snack bar and there's beer in the refrigerator and we're able to kick it. But it's so much deeper than that, because it's really valuing, you said, respect for people or human beings in general, and being able to bring forth innovation from those who are actually doing the work. Because quite honestly, if we're not improving the lives of the workers doing the work, then why in the hell are we doing any of this lean stuff? And so to me, everybody's got their own explanation of what the word culture means. And then when you take all of those explanations and you divide that by the total amount of people that you have on the job site, only then can you start to understand what culture means. And it's different on every job site. I think a lot of folks use that term as Bullshido, as just tossing it around without regards to truly understanding the value of what that word means to every single individual and how people look at that. So I love the work culture. In fact, when I'm on jobs, that is one thing that I focus on the most. But I do believe there's a fundamental misalignment with what that word means to different people. That's where I'm at.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I do love the way that y'all celebrate on your jobs. And again, culture to me is way more than celebrations. But can you dive into what does that culture look like, feel like, taste like on your project sites?
If I may, I think the fact that any single individual on our project site, they have no reason to be intimidated or be fearful when the people from the office or anyone visits a job site. You're always able to get a smile out of people, always able to touch base and really ask people how they're doing, and then listen. There's so many smiles. We have so many characters on our job site, and it's a wonderful situation to be able to have everybody have a voice. When you go to anybody on the job site and you ask them how they're doing or what do they think about a certain situation or how they would approach anything, there's real value in that. What I hope that somebody that works on our project, when they go to the next project, is as good or even better for them, but that they look back at our project and say, you know what, that was special. That's my goal. Buildings, materials, that's going to come and go. But the relationships that we build as human beings with each other, that's what's at the heart of what I like to do and what I want for the culture.
Anything to add, Miss Sarah?
So we had during safety week, and adding to you seeing that fruit right out of those workers. But when we had the door prizes and those people were so excited, there was the one guy that was like, yeah, like what He got a toy truck from a rental company, and then one guy got a toolbox on wheels. It was awesome just to see how excited they were.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
I was just going to add that the cool thing about it is that people were legit trading their prizes for either cash or like upgrading, see what I can turn this screwdriver into type deal. It was awesome because people, the culture was there, the pathway is there for them to have that communication with one another. And it was genuine, and there was smiles all around when we did that this last time. And we know people by their first names, and they know each other by their first names. It's real. And that feeling that you get, it's an emotion, but it's a good feeling to be able to see that.
Yeah, we talk a lot about trust and how important trust is. And when you're calling people by their names and their stories, you're able to dive into a deeper level and, like you said, build a relationship with this other human being, because that's what it's about. That's what lean builders do on their jobs. They're able to really dive into the details and understand people at a different level. All right, it's more than just celebrations and giving out door prizes, right? Like that all contributes to the culture and creates this feeling of togetherness, if you will. But what about the day-to-day grind, and just because it's not all rainbows, sunshines, and unicorns, right?
Well, it mostly is. You know,
Building's different in Texas, I guess.
I'm finding that out.
Bullshido.
Yeah, thank you.
There was a rap lyric one time that says, faith is what you make it. So how you choose to approach a situation, that's your choice. We have the freedom of choice as human beings, and how we deal with that, that's on us. There is work to do. It can be a grind, but thankfully in our current setup, our goal is to spread the weight. Give a shout out to Jay Carroll. He came and kicked Sarah and I in the face and in the shin, but it was awesome because he gave value to us, and we were able to take what he taught us about leader standard work and apply it so the weight could be distributed. Like, he accused me of having answered the phone 91 times within 2 hours. I think it was like maybe 80, but it's improved since then. But I think it goes back to that culture and the fact that we want to learn, and if we see something that works, we want to be able to apply it. The grind is real, but we also take time to realize that fact and talk to each other about that fact. It goes back to whether we're overloaded or we're just right or we're underburdened. I forgot whatever Japanese Jake was talking to me about and Sarah about, but it's you're either overburdened or you're in the groove or you're not doing enough. And so we talk about that every week, the way that we have everything set up with our meetings. And we even have a book club every couple of weeks. We started out with the Lean Builder, and we were living it as we actually were going. And so as we read, we talked about every 2 weeks. And even in the interim, before we had our official book club, we just literally were like, this is awesome because we're right here. We're implementing what they're doing in this chapter, and we're seeing the results. And it's not rocket science. It's just, what have people that are successful done to be successful, and how can we apply that? Not that we apply everything to the letter, to the T, but we take it, we make it a hybrid of what we can use, and we move forward. And it's been a great success. And we started off, it wasn't like something that we planned. It was just like, hey, you know what, we can do this. Why not? And it's just improved everyone. So we're able to balance that grind with real life situations, and where we're talking to each other about how we can make things better. So we're on our second book now with our book club, and just the camaraderie and the real talk from 1 hour of chatting with individuals on our job site in our trailer. It just goes so far into that relationship because you get to know people on a way deeper level and what makes them tick. And it's valuable because you see where they're coming from and where they're intending to go. And you're not a mind reader, I'm not a mind reader. Unless you have those conversations, you won't ever know. And without those forums, that interaction doesn't come out and the team doesn't get better. It's been great to be able to have those systems and those activities and forums and a book club. Who'd ever thought we'd be a part of a book club in a construction company?
I'll never forget how we were introduced to the lean builder, or how I was. It was Tommy, the older superintendent, going, "Hey, I read this book on the beach and it's real good." And next thing I know, we're all reading it. There's a copy on all of our desks and we're living it. We're not just reading it. It's like you said, we're living it.
It takes it to a whole new level. And when you can see it actually working, I guess when y'all were implementing the steps within the Lean Builder book, did you take and use that small J approach where you just introduce daily huddles at first and then introduce visualization, or did you jump right into the whole last planner system?
I think Armando snuck it in before we even knew we were doing it.
Armando.
It was a slide in, like he was talking about earlier.
Yeah, I want to say that it was a step at a time. And you just had that podcast with Harry Schmidt, and he just laid it out so simply. You have to start off with the people, and then you build that lean ladder from there, and that second run being the last planner system. And we just did it, and there wasn't really an end goal in mind. It was just a continuous improvement, continuous learning type situation. And I'd been doing pool plant for quite a few years, and it's worked out well for me and our teams that implemented it, but I didn't have the scientific background to it to be able to say, okay, this is what this is. And then when percent plan complete came to mind, I'm like, this is genius, but I need to take baby steps, because before I start importing data, I need to make sure that the data and the job is actually getting done before we start just torpedoing ourselves. It's trying to give a steak to a baby. You don't do that. You give them the Gerber, and then as they grow up, you get into the filet mignon. So
You got to mash the veggies up a little bit before you serve it, huh?
that's
That is
correct.
a beautiful analogy.
It is a pretty good analogy. And even before the veggies, you get a little formula or whatever else.
Nowadays, it's hard to come by.
Yeah, that's what I hear anyway. It's been a while since I've been in that stage in life. Thank you. I love the fact that you invited Jake Harrell out to the job site as well. I think that's something that our industry doesn't do a very good job at, is opening our job sites up to really even outside industry folks. Jake's been in lean for a long time, put him in a warehouse, and he knows how manufacturing works. I think it's a little bit different when you put him on a job site, but you mentioned he opened your eyes to quite a bit of things. I heard you talk about overburdenedness, or you may have been referring to Murray, Murrah, and Muda, the three types.
Sure.
It's unevenness,
That's it.
overburden. Yeah. So I guess how did he open your mind from that perspective? What were some of the eye openers or industry crossing things that you discovered?
It was just that. Actually, I do have some video of him. I don't want to say lecturing us, but he educated us
Hey.
on the situation. But it was facts, and it just made sense. It's like your weekly work plan. When you plan your work and then you work your plan, you get good results. It's the same thing with responsibilities and just spreading the load. And his observation is that I had quite a bit on my shoulders, and that's exactly where I want to be. He was explaining to me everything that was wrong in his eyes, and I was like, yeah, but I like it. Actually, I love it. I didn't see anything wrong with it, but that paradigm shift came as he explained it. And as I went back and checked the tape and listened to what he was telling us again, he was right. And so we took the leader standard work. We watched some videos from Jason Schroeder, and shout out to Jason. I know we got off on the wrong foot in the live stream, but still love you, bro. No, I don't think so. Check the tape. I think it was fine, but we just applied what we saw, made sense, and it's helped us out tremendously. We have cheat sheets with visuals on them. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Casey, out there, where if somebody has a subcontractor and they're responsible for it, all somebody has to do is take a look at that cheat sheet and say, oh, this sub is being managed by this superintendent, so I'm going to go get with them. And it's been flowing so well. And if you could just be a fly on the wall on our group text messages, it is just a thing of beauty. I profess
Maybe
my
not
love.
today.
Yes. Yeah, it was awesome. So I profess my love to the team on the text stream today, because there were some major happenings and like concurrent things that were major happening on the job, all being documented, all pictures on the text stream where everybody was on the same page, and people calling out possible safety situations, but the safety situations, yeah, it might look like that, but actually this is going on, and had a big conversation about perception versus reality. But everybody just pulling in the same direction. And what do you say, Adam? Know as a team.
See as a team, know as a team, and act as a team.
And that's what happened. And it continuously happens on our job site. We owe it to folks like you, folks like Keon and Joe and Jesse and Jennifer and Felipe and Jake and everybody out there. If that content, if this platform, if LinkedIn didn't exist, we'd be suffering. But because you guys are willing to put your knowledge out there, teams like our team are able to implement and really improve our quality of life.
Man, those are big words right there. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think I've really seen the fruits from Jake outside looking in on the changes that he made, just talking to Armando and I. Yeah, his phone's down. And look, Armando, all these guys have all these responsibilities now. The leader standard work, it's working. And something Armando does really well that Jake talked about overburden, but Armando checks in on the overburden, on people, not on just on his field team. He's checking on the ops team too, on the office side as well, across the board, and continually checking in on that, making sure, are you overburdened? Do you have too much going on? It's really been great to see.
Awesome. And so one of the things as you're dealing with overburden and you've got just tasks out the wazoo, I think Jocko Willing, I just did a podcast on accountability, and Jocko likes to talk about extreme ownership versus decentralized command. And when you can feel yourself and you don't have enough time to be able to get the things done in a day, then your balance is out of whack. You're extremely owning everything versus decentralizing the command. And so I guess, Armando, as you're discovering that, hey, maybe extreme ownership is a little bit too heavy of a balance, what steps or what things have you stopped doing? How have you been able to decentralize that command?
I actually read Jocko's second book, The Dichotomy of Leadership, which was awesome because I didn't read the first book. I was under someone who read the first book, and they definitely took it to the extreme, to the point to where the reason why Jocko actually wrote the second book, I didn't know that at the time, but we all suffered because it was one of those extreme ownership type of situations. And I think that's what I've done with the realization of what Jake brought to my attention. And I knew it, but I just didn't want to do anything about it because I was in my comfort zone. I stopped trying to do everything and then started implementing what he said would be better for the team. And once we did that, and I built that trust with my team, and I literally have to say that to myself whenever I want to send a text message, when I see something on the text string, or I see an email, or I think of something and hey, you know what, maybe I need to make this call. I literally think to myself, you have somebody in that position, you have to trust them, let them fly. And then if they need help, you're there as a safety net to be able to help, encourage, build up, or whatever the case may be. But that's a struggle to let go. And I think that's what I've stopped doing, stopped trying to be the micromanager that I was. Jake has a funny nickname for me along those lines. I won't share it. But
I'm dying to know now. I gotta know.
So yeah, I think if I had to say I've stopped doing something, I've stopped trying to control everything and I started trusting.
What do you think his biggest challenge has been with that, Miss Sarah?
Oh, I don't know. You put me on the spot on that one. I think just the whole letting go and trust in the team. It's difficult, and it's difficult for me too. Armando and I are very similar in those ways, and I'm sitting here thinking maybe I need Jake to come talk to me and kick me in the shins.
I don't think Jake would talk to you again, Sarah.
Yeah, probably not. He's probably not.
Interesting.
It's an inside joke.
So before we blow Jake's head up too large, because I know it's already pretty big, let's shift gears and maybe talk about some of the awesome things going on the job site. Let's highlight some of those folks that y'all are celebrate so much. Let's call them out. Let's call them out by name. What are they doing? How are the folks on your job site performing different, and who are they?
Sarah, why don't you introduce the world to Brian, the steel erector?
All right. So our steel erector, what would you call him? The foreman?
Superintendent.
Yeah, superintendent. Okay. So on the site, we have virtual pool planning. First time I offended him, he showed up and he had his laptop, and I said, "What iron worker owns a laptop?" He opened it up. We started the meeting, and the guy had all of his tasks on the plan. Like, he was ready to go. Dude did his homework, and I offended him. Yeah, like magic. And he was the only one. And his favorite thing, the following meetings as we're getting caught up, and he's like, "Well, it's on the plan." That's his favorite joke there. And the picture that Armando showed earlier, I sent that picture to Armando while he was away doing some training. And we stopped down the job. We stopped all production and we cleaned the job. And he's standing there all just mad. I was like, "Tell me you're mad without telling me you're mad." And now it's Armando's home screen on his phone. He was a tough nut to crack, and Armando and I just appealed to him, but he ended up being the number one player. I think he's our all-star and a good friend too. The day he left the job site, he texted Armando and I both saying, "Nice working with you, wish you the best." So it was nice.
We get a whole lot of that in construction. We get a lot of folks who are not wanting to change. This is how I've done it for 30, 40 years. Why should I change? What did that transition look like? How did it feel? How did you know you were onto something? Take me through that, because that is always the biggest challenge, at least from my perspective, transforming organizations, is there's always one or two people out there that are just pulling in the hardest opposite direction. How do you get somebody like that to change?
Brian, the first time he cussed me out, I just smiled at him and I'm like, "Hey man, that's awesome. I appreciate your passion." And I don't know that he knew how to just basically digest that. I just cussed this dude out and he's happy about it. And that old saying, "Kill him with kindness." He understood right away that this is the way we're going to do things, whether or not you're on board wholeheartedly or not. And he just figured, why am I going to fight it? I might as well go with the flow, because literally there's flow on this job. But that is a real challenge, that 71% in that poll that Mr. Doe sent out there, about the 71% of the struggles are with people and their mindset and changing their behaviors. That's a real nut that we have to crack. And I think you say it best, is just establishing that trust, whether it's taking an extra 10 minutes to get to know that Brian fishes on the weekend, or he likes to hunt, or he likes to golf, which he loves to do all those things. Getting to know that person, asking leading questions, and then just sitting back and listening, and then allowing them to talk. I think that's one of the ways you can build that trust. And I think that's what we did with Brian, because we spent a good amount of time, Sarah and I, with him off the site, building that relationship to the point to where I hope certain people don't hear this and certain people don't know that Brian actually pulled some strings for a lot of our trade partners out there to help them out. But that just goes back to that paradigm shift of somebody having a mindset that, why should I help you out? I'm here for me. Transitioning to the point of, oh, you need this picked, or you need me to do this by this date. Yeah, sure. No thing, buddy. I drink so-and-so. So
Yeah, finding out what motivates people is so crucial. And you only do that by asking questions, by making those layers of onions deeper. You got something, Miss Sarah, you want to add?
As our team, the photo that we looked at together, and I think Armando saying we can talk about that. That was my goal, to take our team and pull those layers off, because we're all in a room together for an hour every Friday for our staff meeting, and stopping and asking them, "Okay, what's your favorite part about this job or this team, or what you do on a daily?" And we all took those words and put them all together, and it made this really cool image that Armando has on his wall. We have on the wall in our team conference room. And it speaks to us. It just tells our story, that we're a family and we love working together, and we feel like we have a team, whereas we've all been on these job sites where we're on an island, like Armando likes to say, and we feel like we're never all on an island, that we have this team and it's spirited and we have the camaraderie together.
Yeah, and I'm going to flash that graphic up here, but can you take us a little bit through the creation of the graphic, the words that maybe mean the most to you, or maybe some of the words that surprised you the most, the things that you weren't expecting some people to say?
I liked the strengths and weaknesses. Someone said they like knowing that everyone's strengths and weaknesses and how we play off of each other's. It goes back to that having a team and not being on an island and working together. That was one of my favorite ones. Another one was the badass team.
Yeah, that was my favorite too.
That was a good one. When you ask somebody what you like about the job, and he's like, yeah. And then there's the, where is it? Guns a-blazing. And they were talking about me, how I am always guns a-blazing and just on my toes to keep everyone else on their toes.
I'm assuming that kind of runs in the blood. You said you had some construction in the family. What does guns a-blazing mean to you?
Knowing the right questions, thinking ahead, what we should be doing, asking the right question. I don't know,
And sharing a brain with your general
sharing
superintendent.
a brain, yeah.
Ooh,
We're always like, we should do it. Like, did we just become best friends?
Yeah, we literally finish each other's sentences. We finish each other's thoughts. It is uncanny the way that we could even give a look to each other. Like a quarterback and a wide receiver, they just look at each other. They know what they're going to do. We literally have the same brain. I don't know if that says much for us, but it works well for us.
Yeah.
I think it speaks volumes of the amount of trust that's built into that team. I guess, how do you get there? And that takes effort, energy, consistency. How do you get to that point in your career with somebody?
I'll go ahead and share. Sarah and I, we used to work for the same contractor way back when. They shall remain nameless.
Not at the same time.
What's that now?
Not at the same time, though.
Yeah, not at the same time. I worked for that outfit about a decade before she worked for that outfit. But when she first started working for that outfit, that's when her and I first met. This is almost 10 years ago. And I immediately saw the potential in Sarah. And she reported to a couple other people that I was just like, why are they here? And why is she not in their position? And she might have been like 22 or 23, but she was on it. And I'm looking around, literally there's 80 people in this conference room, and I'm looking around. Does not anybody else see what I'm seeing? There's gold right here. And so her and I, even though we didn't work closely together, we worked close enough together that we were acquainted with the same people. We would go and hang out with the same people, but I can't put my finger on it, but it's just that connection where you can just look and nod, and it's natural because we hadn't worked together or even adjacent to each other in years, like 7 years. And then she jumps on board and we hit the ground running. I don't know how to explain it, but it's awesome.
Divine intervention, my friend.
There you go.
So I feel like we're somewhat in this love fest here where we're all kind of kumbaya-ing and sitting around. Let's switch it up a little bit. Sarah, what's one thing that Armando does that just drives you nuts?
Ooh, plan my day for me.
All right. Now we're getting somewhere. Tell me more about that.
Did you catch that on the OAC today when you were like, yeah, we're free from this time to this time?
Yeah. So she called me out because I spoke for the team without checking with the team. And then we go around at the end of the meeting. Sarah ran this particular meeting and she was going around the table. And so since I got shot down earlier, when she got to me, I just didn't say anything.
He stayed on mute like a little kid.
I don't think that's where you were going with that, but I appreciate the PG rating there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So how about you, Armando? What's one thing Sarah does that just drives you bonkers?
Yeah.
Don't give me this nothing thing either.
She was all in on the first book club, and she hasn't even done the Cliff Notes or the Spark Notes on the second book club. So
the chapters are so long.
Well, Let's put her to the test. What is the second book that y'all are reading in this book club, Miss Sarah?
It's The 7 Habits.
Of Highly Effective People, the Stephen
Yep.
Covey book. Okay.
Yep. The
Solid.
chapters are very long.
But it's a solid book, worth the time invested for sure.
Solid book. It is sitting on my bathtub, but TikTok has won the last month. And I just scroll TikTok instead of reading.
Only they can make little TikToks that just told you the book.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
There you go.
Yeah, where you at, Covey? Come on.
That's too funny. Let's highlight some other folks. So now that we got this kumbaya thing done and behind us here, who else from your project sites, the DFW Airport job, should we call out and bring attention to that's just doing it right?
Abel with Osborne. We may or may not have had a soccer match or two offsite, and Abel may or may have not been the biggest cheerleader. He's awesome. He's full of energy. Yeah, he's a carpenter. He does everything, even to the point of one of our office personnel. It was their first day touring the job, recently hired. He dropped his credit card in the field, and Abel picks it up, goes out of his way, picks it up and brings it to the trailer because he said, I figured it was somebody that was in here that dropped it. So I'm giving it to you to give it to whoever lost it. And I mean, that's huge. That's integrity, that's honesty, that's loving your brother, which I'm all for. I've got to take him and his supervisors out to lunch last Friday because it was the least I can do, literally. But we got to have real talk. Where you're from, how did you get here, where do you plan on going type of conversation. And then they start talking amongst themselves about the next job they're going to. And then they start talking about, hey, you know what, I really can't afford to drive that far. I can't even afford to drive to where I'm going right now. And they start talking about what they can do as far as raises or whatever the case may be. And I'm just sitting there. This guy is having financial situations like all of us are to one degree or another, but it's real and it affects people. And he didn't take the wrong way out. He didn't take that credit card and say, bingo, this is my lucky day. Thank you. I'm going to go fill up everybody's tank that I can. He did the right thing. And to me, that's just awesome. So I just wanted to celebrate Abel and just appreciate him because he's got kids, he's got a mortgage, he's got responsibility, and everybody out on that job has those. And just to see that happen, it's the right thing to do and it's what everybody should do. But we don't live in that world. Not everybody does the right thing. So when I see it, I definitely want to celebrate it. So I appreciate him. And yeah, maybe when the weather cools down, there might be some other opportunities to become a cheerleader, but unsanctioned and offsite.
No soccer during 100-degree days, huh?
No way.
Yeah, I think there's so many opportunities in our business to cut corners or to do things the wrong way that, celebrating those moments of whether you're returning credit cards or you're just simply picking up trash off the ground. And there are so many opportunities to turn a blind eye to what goes on in our industry. And so I love the fact that y'all, one, just celebrate those, and two, just the way that you celebrate. Again, I think it's so important that we're pausing and reflecting and looking to say, hey, what got us to here? And that we are celebrating those, because as lean junkies, as continuous improvement folks, like even Jake Harrell will tell you, a lot of times we get caught in that Delta mindset where we don't celebrate the good things. And the good things, when people are telling you, hey, this is what's good about it, it's, wow, that's stuff that I should continue to do, versus always focusing in on that, hey, the improvement side. What are we doing that's not adding value, and how do we fix that? It's not always about fixing or solutionizing. Sometimes it's about relishing in the good. So I just applaud y'all for everything that you're doing, and I enjoy following it, and I just can't wait to see more of it.
Sarah, do you have anything to add on that? I love to celebrate the wins, and while keeping fingers on the pulse and while grinding and everything else. But what do you have to add to that, or how do you think we can do a better job of what we're doing out there for our team?
I think just continuing to make those relationships and carry that spirited atmosphere to the field that we definitely have in the office, while keeping our finger on the pulse and on the schedule. I walked the site this morning. You saw my text early this morning and yesterday morning. And I walked the site. I told everyone I saw, good morning. Good morning. I just made it a point to do it. And the smiles I got, it was great. These guys don't even speak English and they're smiling. So just continuing that, keep the smiles going. And back to Brian, I'll never forget. We went out for beers and that next morning I left early. And that next morning you're like, I got a hug.
I did get a hug from Brian. That's wow. I forgot about that.
This is Brian,
and-
the ironworker
yeah, the
hug,
ironworker, yeah.
and they have computers.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
I'm learning so much.
It's 2022, baby.
And he learned how to eat chicken wings on TikTok. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got TikTok and I don't. And I'm the closet millennial, so go figure.
Come on, Covey. Where are you at, Covey? Brian's got TikTok.
He's
Covey
in
and
my
Armando
bathtub.
need it too. Yeah.
Culture and that camaraderie and spirit to our team and just pushing that through. I think that's my biggest goal.
We're making an impact as a team. Unbeknownst to us, there's a gentleman by the name of Jeremy in New Orleans. And I found out last week that he's taken some of our LinkedIn videos and used them for training in regards to pool planning and daily huddles, which I just was awestruck by. I was like, what? So that was pretty cool. Like I mentioned to you, Adam, you and the big players in the lean community have an effect on us. Now we're able to have an effect through the LinkedIn community to the world, basically, whoever is willing to take and apply. And I got somebody slid into my DMs.
That's not how you'd say that.
It's true. Literally, he slid into the DMs on my LinkedIn. But no, he called me a lean ambassador, which I was like honored. I was like, man, that's awesome to even be considered. And I think he's in the Northwest in Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. But he sent me a DM and he appreciated what I was doing. He said, you're an ambassador to lean, unbeknownst to you. Thank you for all you do. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And then he had some specific questions. You know, how do you change somebody's mindset? Like you just asked me today. And I was like, wow, I'm actually in a position to be able to teach this, even though I'm being taught this. And to have him reach out, and I asked him for his permission to use his name and the content there. And he said, sure, no worries. But he's applying it to his company. He's struggling with lean and the mindsets and the pushback. But for him to refer to us as lean ambassadors and to just use us as an example, I'm floored, I'm shocked. I'm appreciative, but that's what the lean community does. That's what lean builders do. It's all about helping. It's all about humans and doing the right thing. And what working overtime sometimes isn't the right thing to do. Just using your emotions in a situation where you shouldn't use your emotions. Just do the right thing. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all report to somebody up the line, all the way up the line. And that's what I'm most concerned about is the learning that we're doing. If you don't learn, if you don't know, you can't grow, basically.
Another rap reference, right?
Yeah. So that's one of those things is we all want to grow. We all should want to grow. And if that growth mindset isn't there, then something's wrong. And I don't make any apologies about that. Anything, just want to thank you, Sarah, everybody at Holt, our whole team. Just really appreciate the opportunities that have come along. Appreciate the divine intervention. Appreciate talking to you, especially Adam. We got to meet each other and man, you're my hero, man. You took a cannonball and you were a little apprehensive about the move that you made at that time because you had just said, I'm going to dive into this. And you did. And look at the fruits, man. You, Jesse, Jennifer, everybody that's doing it. And more power to you and anything that Sarah and I can do to help out. We're here for you.
I think you're speaking to a lot of Jennifer Lacey's go-to phrase of those ripples of impact, right? Like you may dive into the water way over here and do that cannonball and make that splash like you're so humbly giving me credit for. And then those waves might continue on all the way into Texas or into Colorado. And before you know it, somebody's starting a podcast because you had the courage to go and start one and teach like it's not that difficult. Just try X, Y, and Z. I value those comments. I love that you're owning your impact as well. Turn around, reaching out to Jason. And Jason, thank you for speaking up, because I can't tell you what that does to somebody's confidence as you really understand how they're affecting another job site that might be hundreds or even thousands of miles away. That can be really impactful. And just like juicing you up and giving you even more to go out and make a difference on your job site. And you're exactly right, Armando. That's what lean builders do.
I think, that ripple of impact, and now Armando's on another job site doing the same thing. I don't think we've talked about that, but what we've done on our project, our company is seeing across the board. Armando, and look where you are. You're in a room with a giant Lego man on the wall.
Yeah, I'm in New York right now, helping some teams up here in the Northeast, and it's common sense to us, but different regions, different parts of the country, people do things differently. We do things where we have that Southern hospitality in Texas, maybe not so much in a California or a New York or in an Illinois, but it's nice to be nice. And it's fun to have fun. And if you have a job, we can make it what we want to. And I really appreciate Holt for allowing Sarah and I and the rest of our team to really own what we're doing there on our project there in DFW. But it should be the standard. I have a daughter here that's 16. She's sitting right here next to me. She asks the question, why can't it just be like that everywhere? And that's a great question, because your job doesn't have to suck. Your job doesn't have to be behind. There's principles and procedures that people can follow to make your quality of life better. And so if they're there and they're available and you can apply them, then why not?
And that quality of life that trickles inside the gate, but also outside the gate as well, as we're learning with some of this no BS tribe things that are going on with no BS with Jen and Jess. And it's a mentality. It's important that not just are we sending people home with all their fingers and toes and their mental health, but they're also coming back to the job site the next day, ready to go, fit for work, ready to make things happen, confident that they can move the needle. Again, I applaud you. I love the fact that you're in New York, that you're spreading this love, this passion, this energy for a better way to do things, because your daughter is 100% correct. It doesn't have to be that way. And we're making strides, but there's still so many project sites out there and so many tradespeople that need to be affected, but one at a time. That's how we know. One piece flow. That's what we do. That's what lean builders do. And that's how we're going to make this thing happen. So
hashtag lovefest.
Hashtag
yes. Hashtag lovefest.
He said no.
Hashtag no gates. That's me.
Okay.
Hashtag no gates.
I can
be
do
the same outside the gates than you are inside the gates. Your home life and your work life should flow back and forth, two-way street. If you're having issues at home, talk about them at work. I know where my needle is. If I have to literally tell my wife what's going on at work, she knows it's bad. And those are few and far between.
And we're not saying go to work and complain about every single little thing in your personal life. But if there are things that are weighing on you that are affecting your performance on the job, yeah, you've got to let somebody know that. That can turn into a safety hazard really fast, both physically and mentally. And so I love what you're saying there, even though I vetoed the hashtag lovefest. I'm not too fond of
edit that.
Yeah, that one will be edited. No, but the hashtag demo and the divide, all the hashtags that are out there, I think it's important that outside the gate, I love that one. That's important to me. I think that's important in the industry and all the changes that we're making currently. So bravo. Love that one. Work on the other one.
Well, love you, bro. Appreciate you.
All love. What do you got, Miss Sarah? How do you want to drop the mic and close this out? We'll give you the last word.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Always get the last word.
If you could go back and tell we talked about my influence and my grandfather being such a huge influence on me. And if you went back, Armando, and told him that overtime was not always the way, I think he would hand you your behind and probably mine too.
He'd Will Smith me?
Yeah, he definitely would take that Will Smith. But just to know what he would think of all of this and the changes, not only in the industry. I mean, we were talking with a trade partner yesterday about how the business has changed in the last year, not even since COVID, but just in the last year, and how we're doing different things than we ever have as builders. And it's a crazy world. And I think learning and continuing that impact, I think, is key. Yeah. Cool.
And I used to always have, when superintendents would hit me up for overtime, I would always have the pushback, who's coming next? If you want to work overtime, that's fine and that's great and that's dandy. But are we ready for the next activity? Because so many times that question right there would just stifle the whole overtime. Like, we wouldn't be ready Monday for the next crew to come in. Does it really make sense to accelerate this activity? And thinking it all the way through, thinking in a full system is so important.
Yes, sir. Begin with the end in mind.
That's what some say. Amen.
I
It's
think
in a
that's
book somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
in a
think
book
it's in a
somewhere.
book.
Oh, I think it's that 7 effective. I don't know. I
Yeah.
saw it on TikTok.
Problem is they meet at 7 a.m. I'm driving at 7 a.m. That's early.
It's pretty early for a
Project
PM.
manager.
Yeah, fair. Fair. You all right, Armando?
All right, I gotta go read my book.
No doubt. Y'all have been a blast. Again, I appreciate y'all coming on here. I just love the way y'all celebrate, and please don't ever stop that, because your culture of celebration is fantastic. I love it. I enjoy it. I'm a cheerleader, no soccer game required. I'm a huge fan. So keep on doing what Lean Builders do. Y'all are breaking barriers, and I'm loving watching it.
Appreciate you, man. Come
Thanks,
to
Armando.
Texas soon.
That's right.